Hello, good day to you. For the continuation of Plain Trigo, I just skipped to the last two chapters, no, which is the trigonometric equation, and then the last would be oblique triangles. So after this one, we will proceed to how do you call this? Advanced algebra. Okay. For the record, just for the record, my voice is a little bit low, no, because of my allergic rhinitis, no. So it's bothering me right now. So let me continue. So the solution of the equation involving functions is the angle measure which makes the equation true. We limit the roots of the equation to positive angles whose measures are less than 360. There are no general methods of solving trigonometric equations. Techniques from algebra and trigonometry are needed in the process. Algebra for the function and trigonometry for the measure of the angle. Some methods of solving trigonometric equations are illustrated in the following example. So we have here solving for theta, specifically from our standard position from 0 to 360. So we have an equation sine squared theta is equal to 1 minus sine squared theta. So what we will do, we transpose minus sine squared theta to the left expression. So it becomes 2 sine squared theta equal to 1. And then we divide, we transpose 2 to the right. So you have there 1 over 2. And then you square out both sides of the equation. So the simplification will be plus and minus 1 over square root of 2. Now, 1 over square root of 2 is a special triangle, no? Specifically a 45-degree angle. Okay? So, in a 45-degree angle where sine theta is positive, we consider the first and the second quadrant where sine theta is positive. So in the first quadrant, theta is 45, and then the second quadrant, you just subtract 180 from 45, so the result is 135. Okay, because uh, we are referring to the standard position, okay, of the angle. Next is because you have since we get the square root, no, kay sine squared man, so we consider the positive and negative value. So under the negative 45, you have the third and the fourth quadrant also. So sa fourth quadrant, so you simply subtract 360 minus 45, the result is 315. And then in the third quadrant, you simply add 45 to 180, so that will give us 225. So therefore the solutions are 45, 135, 225, and 315. Next, in our second example, so you have there 2 sine theta cosine theta plus cosine theta equals to 0. Okay, so we get the common factor first. So the common factor is cosine theta, and then the resulting factor would be 2 sine theta plus 1. So here are the factors. We equate each factors to 0. So if cosine theta is equal to 0, unsa man ang theta equal to 0 class? Na you have the y-axis, or make that 90 degrees and 270 degrees. If sine theta is negative 1 half, unsa man nga angle specifically? Ang sine theta is exactly, ang 1 half is, this is sine man, so opposite over hypotenuse. So this special angle is, if it is sine, yeah, negative 1 half, ano siya, 30 degrees, no? So, and then negative man. So, on the third and fourth quadrant. So, ang 360 Minusan na nimo og 30, so 330. And then ang 180, adan na nimo og 30, so you have 210. So therefore, the angles are 90, 270, 210, and 330. Our third example, okay, makita nito din, no? Cotangent theta is equal to cosecant theta minus 2 sin theta. So the simplification would be, sa may simplification using the fundamental relation, ang cot, use the quotient relation, so cosine over sine. The reciprocal relation for cosecant is 1 over sine, and then minus 2 sin theta. And then we multiply sin theta to this equation. So pag multiply with sin theta, it becomes cos theta cos to 1 minus 2 sin squared theta. We replace sin squared theta in terms of cos. Kaya ang cosine, hindi naman na mausob, no? So ang sine, we could represent that in our Pythagorean relation. So you have there 2 cosine squared. The simplification is 2 cosine squared theta minus cos theta minus 1. So it creates a quadratic trinomial. We could solve it using method of factoring. So the factors are 2 cosine theta plus 1 and then cosine theta minus 1. So we equate each factor to 0. So you have 2 cosine theta plus 1. Or therefore cosine theta equal to negative 1 half. Okay, for cosine theta equal to negative 1 half, wherein you have a negative cos, it could replace to the left, okay, of the y-axis. So that is second and third. So cosine theta, which is negative 1 half, unsa man na? Cosine of the angle 60 degrees na, no? So ang second and third quadrant, wherein the 60 degrees is from the x-axis, so you have there 180. Under the second quadrant, 180 minus 60, so you have 120. And then in the third quadrant, 180 plus 60, you have 240. And then cosine theta is equal to 1. What specific quadrant? Okay, 0. Okay, or 0 or and the 60. Okay? 0 or 360, pwede na, ano. So therefore, the solutions on the following page. Okay, so you have 0, 120, 240. Okay, so next example, sine 3 theta plus sine theta equal to 0. So for sine 3 theta, we use the addition of angle formulas. Ato naman ang na-discuss, no, last time. So gibuak niya, created two angles, 2 theta and theta. And then reduce the equation to functions of one argument. Okay, so you have sine 2 theta minus theta as well. So by addition formula, we consider sine x plus sine y, 2 sine 1 half of 3 theta plus theta, cosine 1 half 3 theta minus theta. So as a result, simplification na would be 2 sine 1 half of 4 theta is 2 theta, and then 1 half of 2 theta is theta. So 2 sine 2 theta cosine theta. And then the double angle of sine 2 theta is 2 sine theta cosine theta. So you have there 4 sine theta cosine squared theta, and then replace natin yung cosine squared in terms of 1 minus sine squared. So what now? We will get its factors. So sin theta equal to 0. Therefore, if sin theta is equal to 0, if the y component is 0, so you have, it's either on the x-axis 0 and 180. For 1 minus sin squared theta, you factor it first. 1 minus sin theta and 1 plus sin theta. For sin theta equal to 1, positive y, 90. Okay, that is correct. And then sin negative 1, 270 degrees. Okay, so the angles are 0, 180, 90, 270. Kung nawala ko rin dapit. Yun sa mga different arguments. Mo ba ito ni? Ito rin skip magutaan no? Sin 3 theta. Ano yun ba ito ni? Sorry. This is typographical. 3 theta ni. Okay. 3 theta ni siya, not 2 theta. Sin 3 theta plus theta. Sin 3 theta minus theta. And then we use the other conversion formulas. Okay? So, instead of 2 theta, you will write 3 theta. Okay? Tingala lang ako ng libog. And then you have here number 5. Find all the roots of the equation. Tangent 2 theta plus 2 sin theta cos theta. Since tangent 2 theta is sin 2 theta over cos 2 theta, so in the following page, so muna pag-replace ang tangent of sin over cos. So you have there sin 2 theta, i-multiply o cos 2 theta to each. So muna yung simplification. And then ikuha common factor, which is sin 2 theta. The resulting factor is 1 plus cos theta. Now, if we're going to equate each factors to 0, so you have the sin 2 theta equals to 0 and 1 plus cosine 2 theta equal to 0. Now, if 2 theta is equal to 0 plus k times 360, okay, so you have there 0 plus k times 180, where k is equal to 0 to 1. So when k is equal to 0, theta is equal to 0 degrees. When k is equal to 1, theta is 180. Okay? From 1 plus cosine theta, so you have the cosine 2 theta equal to negative 1. Okay? Na siya sa so itawagan na between second and third quadrant. Okay? Kaning sin 2 theta equal to 0, na siya sa 0 degrees. Okay? Plus k times 60. Kaning negative 1, na siya sa between second and third. So that's why 180 siya nagsugod. Kaning sin 2 theta equal to 0, meaning to say na siya sa between first and fourth quadrant. Okay, so dia 0 degree na, no? So you have there 2 theta, okay, is equal to 180 plus k times 360, k from 0 to 1. So when theta is equal to 90 plus k times 180, divide raw og 2, no? From 0 to 1. So when k is equal to 0, 90 san. When k is equal to 1, 270 siya. So the angles, possible angles for the values are 0, 90, 180, and 270. So next, for the exercises kami solve niya, i-send na niya sa one. And then last part for one is the oblique. Okay, dali na may oblique. So an oblique triangle is a triangle with no pair of angles congruent. Okay, so makita na to, walay kaparehang angles, no? Such triangles contains either 3 acute angles, pwede tulo ka acute, pwede pod usa ka obtuse, 2 ka acute, pwede na, no? We know already the meaning of obtuse, no? And acute. So, in solving for oblique triangles, we consider this law of sine. So, in any triangle ABC, the ratio of a side and the sine of the opposite angle is a constant. So, you have there A over sine A, angle A, B over sine B equal to C over sine C. Or the reverse. Pwede na, no? But normally, we use the first one. So, the proof is, we're going to make a projection, no? Perpendicular drop from the vertex angle B to the opposite side AC. That is H. Likewise, at vertex C, we're going to have a perpendicular drop to the opposite side AB. So from the figure, H to H na pareha, no? Kanang broken line. Okay? Kanang duha ka broken line. So from the figure H, H is equal to B of sine A. Okay? Or sine A is equal to H over B. Correct? Sa triangle, sa dili ka mo tanaw ng triangle, no? Now, if kanina po datong H, kana nga broken, so you have there H is sine B is equal to H over A, or H is equal to A sine B. Equating H to H, so you have B sine A is equal to A sine B, or A over sine A is equal to B over sine B. So para ma-involve ang C, diri na pug kamo perpendicular drop, no? Sa angle A to the opposite side BC. Okay, so as you can see, similarly, there's C sine A equal to A sine C. The same. So we could conclude that A over sine A is equal to B over sine B equal to C over sine C. Next is the law of cosine. So for the law of cosine, in any triangle ABC, the square of any side is equal to the sum of the square of the two sides diminished by twice the product of this side and the cosine of the included angle. Okay? So, ang pag-prove niya, class, is by using the Pythagorean theorem, no? Note that H is equal to A sine B, and then ang BD is A cosine of B. Okay? Bila may value aning AD ron. Adra. So AD is equal to AB, which is minus DB, where AB is equal to C minus A cosine B. Okay? So, using Pythagorean theorem, come up tang inani, no? So, you have there B squared is equal to H squared plus AD squared. Of course, we have the value for H, so you substitute. And then the value for AD, so you have squared sa nato, no? So, pag square ani, ma-binomial man eh. So, ang expansion niya would be C squared minus 2CA cosine B plus A squared cosine squared B. And then, so may sunod niya. kuha common factor ning duha, no? Kani ug kani. So you have a squared sine squared b plus cosine squared b. This is equivalent to 1, no? Plus c squared. So ang nahitabo, ang simplification is kanira. So you carry ra. So a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cosine. The same is proved to the other one also. So the other relationship can be proven in similar pattern. So dito lahi na. So diri man ka ng perpendicular drop. Okay? So diri na solve na to ang B, no? Pwede po mo the same equation, ma-solve po na to ang A diri, no? In this particular case. So pagkuha sa C, diri na po ka mo perpendicular drop, no? Diyan. Para magamit na to ang angle Z. So, when three parts of the triangle, not all angles are known, the triangle is uniquely determined except in one case noted below. Then, the 5 cases of oblique triangles are considered. So, case 1, case 2, and case 3, magamit, pwede na magamit og sine law, no? So, I think, yeah. So, the cases are given two angles and the side opposite one of them. Okay? Gihata ang duha ka angle. Ang side ana is opposite of that two angles. Either of the two angles. Okay? So, muna case 1. Ang case 2, given two angles and the included side. Okay? Just like for this case. Okay? So, angle A and angle C. And then, ang included side would be this one. Okay? Case 2 sana. Okay? Ang third one is given two sides and the angle opposite one of them. And this time, gihatag ang duha ka side and then ang usa nila gihatag ang usa ka angle. Okay? And then case 4 is given two sides and the included angle. So this time, gihatag ang duha ka side, ang A ug B. Ang included angle sa angle side A ug B would be angle C. Okay? Muna yung tawag og two sides and ang included angle sa duha ka side. Okay? And lastly, you have three sides given. So, gibutang dire, i-take note nga ang 1, 2, 3, masolve lang law of sine. And then 4 and 5, masolve ra og law of cosine. Okay? You can solve law of cosine first. So, in this example, solve the triangle ABC. So, in here, in solving oblique triangles, we will use sum of all interior angles equal to 180, law of sine, and then law of cosine. Okay? So, so, ano man gisolve man sa niyang B. So, A plus C minus 180. Okay? So, angle B is 2530. And then to solve for the remaining sides B and C, we use law of sine. Okay? Case 2, pero wala may solution. Nalimtan siguro, no? Nara de. So, given two angles and the side opposite of one of them. Okay? And included ang side there. So, muna, case 2. So, again, yung technique, gihatag man duha ka angle, kuha na to ang remaining angle, no? Angle C. And then you could use sine law to solve for the remaining sides. For case 3, given given two sides and an angle opposite one of them. Okay? So, now in this case, we could sine law sa tao na, no? Dili ni madalag kuan sum of interior angles una dayon, no? Kay usa ra man ka angle gihatag. So mo sine law tao na after solving for angle angle B. So pwede na ta kasama for interior angles. Then mo balik tag sine law. Okay? Case 4. Abo na yung ingon. Given two sides and an interior angle opposite one given two sides and an included angle. Tawag niya. Okay? So, cosine atong gamiton una. Okay? To solve for side C. So, after solving for side C, pwede na ta ka-sine law after. Okay? So, in here, in solving for angle B, kita na to, duha ka buk angle, no? 59 degrees and then 120. So we will choose B 120 because B is greater than A. Okay? Duha ka buk angle. But we chose B okay, because side B is greater than side A. Ano may side A? 132. Okay. Ito naman ang C. 125. 30. Really kaya appropriate nino pag pwede ra ka mo sum of all interior angles sa kadila. Then lastly, case 5, direktara, no? Arcos ka. By the way, katong ganina, kung pirado ka sa duwa, mag law of cosine na ka to get angle B. Mas accurate pa, no? So kani accurate gina siya. Okay? Law of cosine ni siya, mas ibatingala mo. And then you could solve for the exercises here. So unsa ra good inyong makuan, ha? And then we are done. Okay, thank you. Ako na yun.